Summer, 1462. The Ottoman army, 60,000 strong, conquerors of Constantinople, the most feared military machine on earth, marches through the hills of Wallachia. The smell hits first. Death, rot, something else. Something that makes veteran soldiers, men who've stormed castle walls and waded through rivers of blood, stop in their tracks. The column slows, scouts freeze, and then, rounding the hill outside Targovist, they see it. Forest. But these aren't trees. 20,000 human bodies, lifted skyward on wooden stakes, arranged in perfect geometric patterns as far as the eye can see. Some dead for weeks, bloated and black under the summer sun. Others still moving, still breathing, still screaming. Sultan Mehmed II, the man who shattered the Byzantine Empire at 21, stares in silence, then gives an order no one expected. Turn around. The entire Ottoman army retreats. What kind of mind creates something like this? What breaks a human being so completely that they become capable of turning suffering into strategy, into art? The answer lies not in madness, but in method. Cold, calculated, and horrifyingly effective. This is the story of Vlad III Dracula, and how one man weaponized terror so precisely that it changed the course of empires. An 11-year-old boy stands in a palace courtyard in Adrianople. His name is Vlad. His father just handed him over to the Ottoman Empire as collateral, living insurance to guarantee loyalty. It looks like privilege, fine clothes, education, military training, Turkish, Arabic, philosophy, the Quran. But this isn't education. It's psychological warfare. For 6 years, Vlad watches. He studies how the Ottomans use fear as a governing tool. Public executions designed not just to punish, but to traumatize entire populations into submission. He learns that terror, applied with surgical precision, is more effective than any army. And he learns something else. He is powerless. His younger brother Radu adapts, even befriends the Sultan's son. But Vlad refuses to bend. Ottoman court records note his defiance. His punishment. Some accounts suggest torture. The details are lost. But what remains is certain. Something fundamental breaks inside him during those years. Or perhaps crystallizes. Every punishment he endures, he studies. Every torture technique he witnesses, he memorizes, building a mental arsenal, piece by piece. After 6 years, Vlad returns to Wallachia. He's 17. 2 months later, rival nobles assassinate his father. They bury his older brother alive. Vlad is alone, surrounded by enemies, backed by no one. He doesn't just want revenge. He wants to remake the world in the image of his trauma, to take everything the Ottomans taught him about terror and refine it into something they've never seen. But first, he has to wait if stories like this, where documented history reveals psychology darker than any fiction, grip you. There's more coming. Much more. Vlad's coronation feast should be a celebration. Instead, it becomes a blueprint. He invites the boyar families, the same nobility who orchestrated his father's murder. Hundreds arrive in their finest clothes, believing they're pledging loyalty to the new prince. Wine flows, the great hall glitters. Then Vlad stands and asks a simple question. How many princes of Wallachia have you lived through? The older boyars brag. 7, 10. A dozen different rulers. They're proud of their survival, their political cunning, their ability to outlast any throne. Vlad smiles, then arrests every one of them. But here's where the method reveals itself. He doesn't execute them. Not yet. He separates them by age and health. The older ones, architects of his family's destruction, are impaled immediately outside the palace walls. Not quickly. The stakes are carefully inserted to avoid vital organs. They die slowly, over hours, sometimes days. Their screams provide the soundtrack for what happens next. The younger, stronger boyars are stripped of their fine clothes and force-marched 50 miles north to the ruins of Poenary Castle. They're given a choice that isn't a choice. Rebuild the fortress with your bare hands. Or die. For months, they haul stones up the mountainside. They work until their hands bleed, until their clothes rot off, until they collapse. Most die during construction. The survivors are never the same. Vlad has erased the old nobility and replaced them with a new class, one that owes everything to him and lives in absolute terror of his displeasure. This isn't revenge. It's systematic dismantling. And it reveals something crucial. Vlad doesn't want obedience. He wants to break people so completely that obedience becomes their only possible response. Sultan Mehmed II, Vlad's childhood companion, sends envoys to Wallachia demanding tribute. There to escort Vlad personally to Constantinople to renew his oath of vassalage. The envoys arrive expecting negotiation, perhaps some political theater. They get a preview of hell. When they refuse to remove their turbans in Vlad's court, a genuine religious custom, Vlad asks them to explain their tradition. They do, probably relieved he seems interested. Vlad nods thoughtfully. I respect a man who honors his faith so completely. Let me help you honor it forever. He orders his guards to nail the turbans directly to their skulls. Think about the precision of that cruelty. He doesn't kill them. He mutilates them in a way that ensures they'll survive the journey back to Constantinople. They're walking messages. Their screams echo across the countryside as they flee. When Mehmed receives his envoys, men he sent in good faith, now permanently disfigured and driven half-mad, he understands immediately. This isn't the childhood friend he remembers. This is something that has taken Ottoman lessons in terror and evolved them into something even the Ottomans haven't imagined. War is inevitable. Most people don't understand impalement. It wasn't just execution. It was engineering. The common image, a stake driven straight through the torso, would kill almost instantly. That defeats the entire purpose. Vlad's method was far more sophisticated. The victim laid face down. The stake, carefully selected, rounded at the tip, thoroughly oiled, inserted through the rectum, but at an angle specifically designed to miss all major organs and blood vessels. The victim is raised upright. Gravity does the rest. Over hours, sometimes days, their own body weight forces the stake gradually upward through their torso. The path calculated to avoid the heart, lungs, major arteries. In documented cases, the stake emerges through the shoulder or chest. But the victim remains alive for up to 3 days. Why this method? Because Vlad understood what modern psychological warfare experts now confirm. Witnessing prolonged suffering is exponentially more traumatizing than witnessing quick death. A battlefield beheading is horrific but brief. Impalement is a performance that lasts days, complete with screams heard across entire valleys. But the physical act is only one component. The real genius, if such a perverted word applies, is in the staging. Public squares, major roads, city gates, anywhere that maximizes visibility. Vlad understands that word of mouth and rumor multiply the psychological impact far beyond the actual number of victims. One impalement witnessed by 100 people creates 100 storytellers, each telling 100 more. And he refines the symbolism constantly. Stakes of different heights based on rank. Peasants near the ground, nobles higher, the highest reserved for enemy commanders. A grotesque visual hierarchy reinforcing his message. Everyone has a place in my world, and everyone suffers according to their station. In some accounts, he arranges impaled victims in geometric patterns. Circles, stars, concentric rings. This isn't random sadism. It's a demonstration of control. It says, I have so much power I can turn human suffering into art. Spring, 1462. Sultan Mehmed has had enough. He assembles an army of 60,000 to 90,000 men, more than triple Wallachia's entire military-age male population. This isn't an invasion. It's an extermination. Vlad has maybe 20,000 to 30,000 men, many of them peasant conscripts. A conventional battle would be a massacre, so Vlad refuses to give them a conventional battle. As the Ottoman army enters Wallachia, they find nothing. Empty villages, poisoned wells, burned fields, every source of food and water systematically destroyed. Vlad orders his own people to abandon their homes and retreat into the forests, taking livestock with them. The Ottoman supply lines stretch longer and longer. Then the night raids begin. Small groups, 50 to 100 men, strike Ottoman camps in the dead of night, killing sentries, setting fires, disappearing before any organized response, targeting supply wagons, pack animals, ammunition stores. The goal isn't to defeat the army. It's to make them paranoid, exhausted, demoralized. But the masterpiece comes on the night of June 17, 1462. Vlad learns from captured soldiers that Sultan Mehmed himself is camped near Targovist with his personal guard, the elite janissaries. An opportunity that will never come again. Vlad personally leads 10,000 men in what becomes known as the night attack. Under cover of darkness, dressed in captured Ottoman uniforms, speaking enough Turkish to cause confusion, they infiltrate the massive camp. One objective: kill the Sultan. Contemporary accounts describe absolute chaos. Fire, stampeding horses. They come within yards of Mehmed himself. Some historians believe Vlad and the Sultan briefly make eye contact across the burning camp. But the janissaries hold, forming a defensive circle around their leader. After hours of close-quarters combat, Vlad realizes he can't break through. He orders a retreat. His men vanish into the night as suddenly as they appeared. Ottoman casualties are relatively light, maybe 2,000 killed. But the psychological damage is catastrophic. The Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, in the middle of his own army, has nearly been killed by a vastly outnumbered enemy who struck from nowhere and disappeared like ghosts. Mehmed's commanders are rattled. His soldiers are exhausted. They're still weeks from Constantinople, marching through a dead landscape where every shadow might hide an enemy. Then they reach the capital, and they see what Vlad has been preparing. No written description captures what Mehmed's army encounters on the approach to Targovist in late June, 1462. The smell arrives first. If you've smelled a dead animal rotting in summer heat, multiply that by thousands. Add the sweet, sick-making odor of decomposing human flesh, so thick you can taste it. Then the stakes appear. 1, 10, 100. Then the realization there is no end. They stretch to the horizon in every direction. The field of impaled bodies extends for nearly 2 miles in length, over half a mile in width. Modern historians debate the exact number. Ottoman sources claim 10,000. Wallachian and Hungarian sources claim up to 20,000. The truth, probably 15,000 to 20,000 bodies. But what makes skin crawl isn't the number. It's the precision. The stakes are arranged in geometric patterns, concentric circles radiating from the capital, height-ordered rows. In some sections, star patterns visible from elevated ground. Vlad spent weeks, possibly months, preparing this. He captured Ottoman soldiers and sympathizers from earlier raids, kept them alive specifically for this purpose. Some bodies have been dead for weeks, rotting in summer heat. Others impaled more recently, and some, according to multiple sources, are still alive. Byzantine chronicler Leonikos Chalkokondyles, who interviewed eyewitnesses, writes that the moaning of the dying could be heard across the entire field. Bodies slowly consuming themselves, too weak to scream but still conscious. Ottoman troops, hardened veterans who conquered cities and slaughtered countless enemies, begin vomiting. Some refuse to advance. Others desert in the night, willing to risk execution rather than continue through this nightmare. At the center, on the tallest stake of all, is Hamza Pasha, a high-ranking Ottoman commander captured in an earlier skirmish. His body, dressed in the remnants of military finery, positioned directly facing the route of the Sultan's approach. A personal message from Vlad to Mehmed. "This is what I do to your best men. Imagine what I'll do to you." Sultan Mehmed II, the man who watched Constantinople's walls crumble under his cannons, who ordered his own massacres, stops his horse, stares in silence for several minutes, then speaks words recorded by Chalkokondyles. "It is not possible to deprive of his country a man who has done such great deeds, who knows how to put his power to such use. This isn't praise. It's recognition. The Sultan is facing something he doesn't fully understand. A mind that has taken Ottoman methods and evolved them into something even the Ottomans can't match." Within days, Mehmed orders a general retreat. He leaves a contingent under Vlad's brother Radu to continue harassment. But the Sultan himself withdraws with the main army. The most powerful military force in the world has invaded a tiny principality with overwhelming numbers, and been turned back not by military defeat, but by sheer psychological warfare. Vlad the Impaler has won. Terror, however effective in the short term, always devours its wielder. Turning back the Ottoman Empire should make Vlad a hero in Christian Europe. In some ways, it does. The Hungarian king and pope praise his defense of Christendom. But Vlad can't turn it off. The methods that defeated the Ottomans don't stop with the Ottomans. By late 1462, he's impaling Wallachian merchants for price gouging. Impaling boyars suspected of disloyalty based on rumors. Impaling entire villages for minor infractions. The tool forged to defeat a superior enemy has become his only tool for everything. His political position deteriorates rapidly. His brother Radu, backed by Ottoman gold, positions himself as the sane alternative. Hungarian support evaporates as Vlad's increasingly erratic behavior alienates allies. By November 1462, just months after his greatest triumph, Vlad is forced to flee into Hungarian territory. The bitter irony: he's imprisoned by his supposed ally, King Matthias Corvinus of Hungary, on fabricated charges. 12 years in comfortable house arrest. He even marries a Hungarian noblewoman, has children. By all accounts, a model prisoner. In 1476, opportunity returns. Wallachia has devolved into chaos under weak rulers. With Hungarian and Moldavian backing, Vlad reclaims his throne in November. He has maybe 2 months to rule. December 1476 or January 1477. The exact date is lost. Vlad is killed in battle against Ottoman forces near Bucharest. Some sources say his own men killed him through treachery or mistake in the chaos. Others say Ottoman soldiers overwhelmed him. What's certain is the aftermath. His head is cut off, preserved in honey, sent to Sultan Mehmed in Constantinople as proof of death. After everything, the terror, the impalement, the psychological warfare, Vlad ends as a trophy, displayed for mockery in the capital of the empire he fought his entire life. His body was allegedly buried at Snagov Monastery. Excavations in the 1930s found a tomb. It was empty. To this day, no one knows where Vlad's remains are. In Romania, Vlad is celebrated as a national hero, a brutal but effective leader who stood against overwhelming odds and preserved independence. There are statues, his face on tourist merchandise. To the rest of the world, especially after Bram Stoker's 1897 novel loosely borrowed his name and history, Vlad became synonymous with vampirism and supernatural evil, which, in a perverse way, lets us off the hook. It's easier to think of him as a monster, something inhuman, than to confront the real horror. Because the real horror is this: everything Vlad did was human. Painfully, terrifyingly human. He wasn't born a monster. He was created by a system that taught him power comes through terror. That survival requires absolute ruthlessness. That empathy is weakness. And he took those lessons and refined them to their logical extreme. The forest of the impaled wasn't madness. It was applied psychology. The night attacks weren't random violence. They were precision military strategy. Every impalement, every mutilation, every public display of suffering was a calculated move in a larger game. And here's what should haunt the mind. It worked. Against impossible odds, using nothing but calculated terror, Vlad turned back an empire. He proved that fear, properly weaponized, could accomplish what armies couldn't. The question isn't whether Vlad was evil. That's obvious. The question is, what does it say about human nature that this method was so effective? What other calculated horrors hide in history's shadows, waiting to teach lessons we'd rather not learn? History's darkest chapters aren't just about what happened. They're about understanding why it worked. And that's the knowledge we can't afford to forget.